I hope you can hear me. It's kind of loud, but I feel like that'll be in the background and you'll actually be able to hear me. So I'm gonna film this, I'm gonna assume that everything is sounding fine, and we'll get into talking about the Pluto line in astrocartography, and I'm gonna scoot up so I can make sure that you fucking hear me. This is actually like an impromptu video because I am in Puerto Rico, and I've done a Dubai moonline video because my moon line runs through Dubai. I did a video about my Jupiter line running through Brazil, and the second I got here, I was like, this is a distinct vibe. There's some places like New York that I like, but like definitely don't have any kind of like distinct feeling to it for me. Like I enjoy it, I like living there, but it's not like other places where there's like a tone. This had a tone, and I've never been to Puerto Rico before, so when I got here and I noticed, this is gonna sound so stupid, but like I literally knew it was in the Caribbean, but like didn't know specifically on a map where it was. I was like, oh, that makes sense. I see my Pluto line running through it. And I also have a full video on astrocartography in general. If you are new here and you don't know anything about planetary lines, and I'm gonna sound like a fucking weirdo, I recommend you watch that video first before watching this one or any of my other astrocartography videos. And before we get started, quick plug for Swan Bitcoin, the safest, easiest place for you to dollar cost average or repeatedly buy into Bitcoin. I use Swan to buy in on a monthly basis, as well as buy when there's like dips, or the full moon usually is a new moon to full moon a dip, you know my lunar trading strategy. So if you use my link down below, you will get $10 of free Bitcoin upon your first purchase. No pressure. I don't get any like sponsorship from it, but I do get a referral commission, so check it out if you want it. I use it myself. So let's get clear on what Pluto itself signifies so we can understand the planetary line. And Pluto, you will hear time and time again people saying it is the planet of transformation. And while I think that's a cliche, I reserve the word transformation only for Pluto as a result, because Pluto is about the premise of death and rebirth, beginnings, endings, birth into newness, destruction into death. The comparison of both fusion and fission, of an atomic bomb, and also things coming together for a huge scale. It is the processes at the tips of the spectrum. It is like the most undoing and the greatest composure. And it's also a highly psychological planet because of the implications of grappling with those things. So when people go through psychological breakdowns, there's often a Pluto transit. I had Pluto crossing my ascendant from like 18 to 21, and that was a on and off, you know, very, very suicidal ideation time for me. And I wrote a book that was extremely Pluto on the ascendant about a girl who, even though I couldn't relate to it, was like that metaphor, in a metaphor. And that birth-death process means that the Pluto line, when you're visiting it, tends to be extremely distinct. And the way that I conceptualize it, well, firstly, Pluto in my chart is in my 12th house in Sagittarius, and it's tightly square my sun north node conjunction in Virgo. So with me having sun square Pluto, I'm already familiar with like power plays and emotional mental manipulation. A lot of people born with sun square Pluto dealt with a parent or a prominent like teacher in their life for their entire childhood, or someone prominent of an authority figure that they were manipulated by, and then they had to learn how to manipulate. So with like an abusive, narcissistic, alcoholic mother, I had to get really good at knowing how to manipulate the manipulator, in the way of like, if she was drunk, I had to know how to quell that. If she was having a very narcissistic episode against me, like I had to know how to adjust that. And similarly, like in these locations, there is often a tone of like feeling like you're fighting against the grain. And the way that I think about it is, whenever I visited, it's like you're in a haunted house or you're in some kind of like extreme, I say fun house, but I don't know if that's because I believe there's an American Horror Story like season titled that. I don't know what fun house means outside from haunted house, but the same line runs through Argentina because it goes straight down through South America. And my family growing up had a house there in Argentina, or they still do. Like my dad, he has a place that he shares with a couple friends in Bariloche, and the Pluto line is not so much through Buenos Aires, it's more through Bariloche. But visiting Buenos Aires, and more specifically Bariloche, was like this is gonna sound so weird, but it was literally like a nightmare, which is difficult to describe because everything was beautiful, and yet it seemed like every little thing brought up the most resistance in me, like that feeling of having psychological electrical resistance and being in like a pouty, terrible mood over and over and over. And I found it extremely difficult to visit there when I was younger, like to the point of when lockdowns and quarantine started, my dad was like, why don't we go like to Argentina, like it'll be fine, like I know BA is a mess, but we'll go in Bariloche, like it overlooks a glacier, like there's the hiking, the skiing, like you'll get to camp out. And I was like, I would rather be like it feels very like 12th house Pluto prison down there. And this is just funny because if you all saw my Brazil video, like I have not had good experiences in South America so far. This is the Caribbean, so it's a bit different, but I have, and I don't doubt that I would have a great experience, but it's just funny that even in these beautiful, like outright spoiled experiences of like a home in Bariloche, I'm like I can't even explain how terrible I felt. It is this Pluto, oh my god, it's just, I don't know how to describe it unless you visited a Pluto line, and it feels like the resistance is being yanked out of you. And here I landed, and it wasn't quite like that, but I could already feel on the way here that my 12th house perfection here had started, because I was able to chill on the flight. Oh my god, like 12th house I know is being like trapped, hidden, like contained, away from the world, secluded. For whatever reason, even during some turbulence, I embodied one of the things I said in my 23 things I learned by 23 video, which is you will adjust to the amount of stimulus thrown at you. Like, you adjust to your environment. You literally cannot stay in constant high or constant misery. You will even out and become used to what you deal with. So like, having flown so much this year in pretty bad flights, it's like now when I'm in a normal flight, even though I don't like that feeling, it is so normal, and I'm able to just like fucking be like, you know, whatever, like we're going around and this is fairly normal. And I noticed that, and I was like really proud of myself, because I wouldn't consider myself to have the phobia anymore that I literally used to be told I had a plane phobia. And I was able to, get this, watch a full film. I've never in years, I mean 5+ years, had the attention, 4, 5, 6, 7+ years had the attention span to watch a full film without pulling out my phone. And you know, albeit I didn't have Wi-Fi because it was a three and a little over 3 hour flight here, and I wasn't going to buy Wi-Fi for like 3 hours from like 6 to 10 a.m. basically, that I was going to be boarding and then on the flight. Like, I'm not going to buy Wi-Fi for that. Like, it's not worth it. So when I like was on the flight, I decided to watch Argo, which is a very 12th house film, like being trapped in Iran and like having to, I mean, films about war, like espionage, like that. I love films like that, and I have a thing for, I really am fascinated and very resonant with like the Middle East, and so I love Argo. Top 3 favorite films probably, like Argo is definitely up there. I'd say in my top 3 with like Trainspotting and Requiem for a Dream, and I love Ben Affleck, so like that's cute. But watching that and being like, oh my god, I have an attention span, like this is such a 12th house perfection here when I'm able to go inward and actually be secluded. I'm so glad I timed this with the sunset, kind of. It's over there, but like, yeah, basically like landing here, it felt very 12th housey, but in a way where it's like, I can do this. And I did have that resistance because it's very slow here. I don't think that the average person would find it slow, but living in New York, being obsessed with Dubai, moving to Dubai, I'd say is even faster than New York in terms of efficiency, but New York is very hustle bustle. There's people walking everywhere. It is very go, go, go. It takes like 15 to sometimes 20 minutes to get an Uber here, which, you know, first world problems, but that's a comparison. I'm open about that. That's not something I'm used to. I'm used to literally no more than a 5-minute wait, if at all, and that's mostly because New York can have some delayed lights and like traffic, but it's around the corner. And I'm very like peaceful here. Like, I came because, as a lot of people know who might be older than me and following like my channels and things, Jesus Christ, someone's like yelling David, that's weird. If you do live here as a Puerto Rican citizen or resident, which means that you are a resident in Puerto Rico, if you're making most of your income here, this is your main source of business, you're making money here, you don't have like a business in, I don't know if I'm in Mexico or something, you stay here for at least 6 months a year, so you have to prove that you've stayed here for 6 months a year as your residents, own a property here after at least 2 years of being here, you are asked to own a property after 2 years, you get 4% income tax and 0% capital gains tax, which is someone who is an investor is huge. I mean, huge. Like, that incentive is worth putting up with some slight differences, I would say, in the pace of things here. Like, I don't even know how to explain. Like, if you're running like large scale funds or things, and you're someone like me who at a young age is getting into an industry where you can see yourself doing that one day, I would love to start out early, treating my investments or finances like intelligently. It's not like a bad thing to want to minimize like your taxes and legally. Like this is not a bad thing. This is energetic risk management. Like I don't want to be hemorrhaging, you know, money by not being set up in a way where that could be reinvested later. So if I were to really like it here, perfect. The downside in my position would be that I love Dubai. Dubai does have no tax applied to businesses, income, etc. But as a US citizen, that will follow me anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. However, if I were to do 6 months here, 6 months Dubai, that's doable, given that I would be leaving Dubai for 4 months a year for the summer anyway. However, when you really do think feasibly about it, like if I want to travel anywhere else, that would then be cutting into my Dubai time, which might narrow my Dubai time now to like 3 months a year. So unfortunately, and realistically after being here, I don't think that I would move here and do the 6 months, because I would have to prove 6 months, 183 days, you have to prove that. There's no way around it. You cannot take a fucking boat to the Bahamas or Miami. Like it's very like by the book, you can't fuck with it. That alongside like a Dubai residence, like that would leave me like 4 months a year in Dubai, and that's just like not, like I want to be like 10 months a year in Dubai, 9, 10, like that 8 minimum, but like with travel. So that kind of does outlie it for me, because it is beautiful, but like the pace does get to me. And I arrived here at like what I was told by multiple people was like the nicest hotel. I don't doubt it, it's lovely. I get here and unfortunately they put me in a room, and deadass, it was like the worst view I've ever seen, like $1,300 a night, and it's like terrible. And I'm not one to complain, like I suck it up, because people who are working mean well in service industries. Like I don't like to complain, but I just kind of told them, I was like, guys, like, is this a normal view? They're like, no, we're actually sorry, you know, would you like to upgrade for like just a little bit more to this other room tomorrow, because I'm only here for 2 nights. I'm here for like 3 full days basically though, because I'm staying like full days and flying very early, very late. And so I upgraded to this room, and it's like a little suite. Like I don't need that, like I'll take a fucking tiny suite and bedroom, but I like a view. And it did feel very 12th housey to get a literal view of like a dilapidated like office building it looked like no offense, like I don't know, if you're living here you understand that it has a bit more like character, you could say, than like Dubai in that way. But I prefer like pristine, like I can't lie and be like, I just want like I don't know, even, you know, we set up our homes how we set up like our body home, and I like I'm literally fucking like hairless essentially. I want to laser my entire body, spare my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and my hair. Like I have like a very distinct, like very thin line detailed tattoos, like not some like colorful, more like traditional style. My friends told me this from New York. They're like, you're gonna go, you're gonna hope that you like it, and you're gonna like it, but don't move there. And you're like, I'm like, you're right. Like I think that it's the kind of thing where I'll just make more money and pay those taxes. That's the kind of thing that a lot of people come to the conclusion of, is like, I just will live in normal American federal tax territory. And I did like have a lovely massage here and like lovely experience. Like it's been like fun and great, and I would love to visit. And it was good coming, because I don't think I could live long term on a PLUTO line. It's just too like gut-wrenching. I don't know how else to describe it. I think that if you've been somewhere and you know that feeling, you know it's like unsustainable, and it keeps calling you back. Like I would go back to Argentina in a heartbeat, and know the second I get there it's like gut-wrenching. And similarly here, like it's like beautiful, and I feel a lot of like I would be very internal here. I could tell it would be very psychological, but also I'm someone who I like to be surrounded by people that I want to reach their position one day. So like just naturally in life, my friends have always been older, and like even as I progress, my friends get more and more of like I look up to them, and I'm surrounded more of that and more business hubs. So like I will pay the premium to be surrounded by people that I admire. And not that you couldn't find that here, but I feel like a lot of times people that I would be friends with here are coming here to like preserve their wealth already. They aren't in this like hustle mentality that I am, where I want to like build and concentrate. They're very much more like I don't know, like Peter Schiff lives here. Like that's an example. But I've really enjoyed it, and I love it. And pulling up the map and seeing my PLUTO line run through here makes a lot of sense, because it feels very like gut-wrenching in that way. But I hope that this was helpful. I encourage anyone to come here, especially US citizens. It's fucking fun. It's like beautiful. I'm not going out, like I don't go out, so like that's not my thing. I can't speak to that, but it's been lovely, like the people I've met up with and the friends I've seen here, and even though it's not for me long term, I think that it's a very like calm place, and I could see myself going very internal if I were to live here extensively. So yeah, hope that this is helpful. Let me know any other like lines specifically you want me to do next. I would be down. Kind of funny this would happen impromptu here, but yeah, take care, and I will see you in the next astrocartography video.